So I've been reviewing quite a lot of different racing wheels, but PXN was one of those brands that was on my wishlist for quite a long time now. With a simple reason, because PXN did make a lot of different but interesting products, as some of them have a very nice price point. Compatible with a lot of platforms like PC, PlayStation 4 and Xbox One and Series. So far I understand, not a PlayStation 5. The racing wheel looks kinda fancy and getting some professional vibes over here. It comes with a steering wheel plus base, whole magnetic induction racing pedals, and even the gaming 6+1 shifter. Okay, so this is what we're getting inside the package itself, but let's do a quick overview, also in depth about the products, because there are a lot of things you need to know. So first of all, over here we're having the clamps, and the way how they made this is quite genius. So they're especially having the clamps for people like me who just want to put this on my desk and don't have a driving simulation yet. So in here we're having the shifter, if you're going to be using this, having a very nice one, let's do a quick overview later on. And then we're having the pedals, all the needed cables. And in here we're having the manual and the 24 volt power supply. I can show you this over here, 24 volts, 2 amps over there. So it's not like a very fancy special one. Over here we're having the wheel itself. I do wonder if you're going to be giving us options for different wheels. And then the base itself with the power cable and the USB plug over there. But let's do a quick overview of each of these products, because there are a lot of things you need to know. So let's start off with the pedals. And putting the pedal to the metal is not going to be something we're going to be doing. With a simple reason, they have made the decision to put plastic pedals on there. And there's a little bit of an, let's say, downside, where I find like the metal pedals kind of cool and gives like an extra deluxe feeling. However, when you're looking at, let's say, the controls and everything else, I must say that I am very pleased of the acceleration, the clutch and everything else. The resistance is absolutely amazing. However, if you're going to be already seeing it, and yeah, there's a little bit of instability when you're looking at the pedals. You can see that it's quite easy to move around. And in that case, at the front we're finding this very nice grip. And I think it's a very comfortable, let's say, pedal to play with. However, when you're looking at the overall quality, the Logitech ones, the G21s and other ones I've been reusing for many years, I personally prefer those more. Oh yeah, I love the blue color. But okay, here having the racing pedals. So they're using 5 volt, 85 milliamp of course. There's no extra additional, let's say, power needed. But you're just going to be using the connections over here. And that is one of the weirdest things, that we do have a tiny switch over here. We're having an input for an USB-C and the cable for connecting with the racing wheel itself. But we're also having mounting, let's say, holes over here, so we can use this in a racing simulator if I had one. But how about the base itself? You can see the locking mechanism for the wheel itself, and it's something similar to like with Thrustmaster. However, when you're looking at the design, you can basically assemble this fairly easy on, let's say, a desk or let's say, in play seat or whatsoever, thanks to the way how they actually made this piece of metal. So it feels a little bit more professional when it comes to that. Well, we can just use the brackets like I'm going to be doing today and assemble this to my desk. How about the connections? The connections is kind of similar with the cheaper models. So over here we're finding the controller, and this is more like the spoof system they're using. You need to assemble a PlayStation or Xbox controller depending on what kind of system you want to play. Also having a switch over here for 270 and 900 degrees. Having the input for the shifter, the pedals and the input for the power supply. The wheel itself, it's quite nice quality, similar to Thrustmaster that we have seen before. However, when you're going to be looking at the middle part, this is made out of metal and gives like a very nice sturdy feel. At the back we're finding even very interesting configuration. That's something I personally, this is the first time I'm actually going to be seeing it. Having very nice, not the metal part, because this is something we've seen before, but having a dual flipper configuration on each side, where the right one has a click and the left one doesn't. Connection wise will be put over here throughout the 8 pins, or the pins that will connect to the base itself. But let's assemble it. The shifter, it's like a little bit of a weird feeling about this. So where it's partially made out of plastic, this thing does have like a very nice feel to it. Let me explain and show you what I mean. The chip feel is more of the case, and particularly the buttons at the front. Nothing very fancy. However, shifting feels quite nice. And that's more like a combination, where we're having the base is basic, but the shifting has a very nice feel to it. And that is something I do like. Something you've seen with the Thrustmaster 2, having the metal guidance, and this is very nice. I can really appreciate it. The assembly of the base is quite easy. We're going to be using the plastic clamshells. However, the weird thing is that it's very difficult to actually tighten it up. You can just see that it still wiggles. And the construction itself, not the best one out there. However, if you're not going to be touching it, bumping it, whatever, we can tighten it up a little bit left or right. But that's my personal experience. You can see that I tied it up all the way. Maybe it has to do, my desk is very thin, but the wheelbase itself is just great. So when it comes to that, where the clamshells are okay, it does its job. But how about the wheel? It's going to be very easy to actually put this on here. There's only actually one way you can do this. So we're going to be placing it in the right position. It doesn't click or whatsoever. The only thing I'm going to be doing is turning the nut over here. It will pull the wheel in, make connection. And when it's done, tighten it up and you're ready to go. Whoop. So we changed out from the 900 to 170, and whoa, this thing is so much more direct now. So it's kind of cool. If you want to play it like that, that's another way to go to. And personally, I do sometimes just love to play the game on 270 degrees, where it's maybe less simulation. It's just a lot of fun. The force feedback feel still the same. We can switch fairly easy. Let's see what happens. There we go. So let's get into some Project Cars, a different game. Okay, so we have been putting the shifter in action. We don't need the clutch. We can just use the shifter, and of course we're having all kinds of shenanigans on screen. Ooh. Okay, so let's move on. So now I can actually enjoy myself, some clutching and racing. Still, I'm not the biggest fan of gearboxes at this point. In my real car, yes, but not with the simulation. So another thing, let's put in the neutral and let's use the shifters. I also implemented the 900 degrees steering configuration. And with Project Cars we're having such a different experience, but I can tell you it's more fun than Gran Turismo, but that is of course personal. The force feedback is also quite aggressive, but not in a bad way. I just love the force feedback in this wheel. It makes it really responsive and whoa! Ooh, man, oh man. How about shifting? So we need to put the pedal in, or the clutch pedal. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6, and reverse is pushing it in. So that's actually working fine. So let's put it in 1. I did notice with Gran Turismo, I'm always fighting with this. I don't know why this clutch panel is so annoying. I'm very gently releasing it, but somehow, there we go. We need to use the clutch, otherwise it will not shift. See, that's what I mean. So the way how this actually works, when it comes to shifting and using the clutch, I don't like it at all. It's me being a noob, it's maybe one of the reasons, but however, we can also use the shifter. I personally prefer that more. That is absolutely so much more fun actually. Okay, there we go. But the overall experience, beside the pedals moving around like crazy, it's really annoying. I must say the wheel does have a very nice feedback. And when it comes to using the shifter, I'm just going to be honest, I'm not going to be using that thing. Also switching between 270 and 900 degrees will give you a completely different experience. But what is the overall experience? So first of all, I do get myself a premium feel when it comes to the racing wheel itself. And throughout the gameplay, I did notice that it's quite annoying to navigate through the game because there was not actually a normal D-pad, only separate buttons. So I needed to get used to that, and most of the time I'm just using the controller. So next up, having the shifter, where I'm not the biggest, let's say, racing fan of shifters itself. I must say, when it comes to this, it feels quite premium, but I really needed to get used to it. Overall, when you're looking at the pedals, I was quite disappointed that we didn't have any metal. However, this thing was sliding away all the freaking time I'm playing, and this has a little bit to do with my underground, so I needed to do something with it, with extra meth or something of a styrofoam to keep it in place. But beside, I must say that I'm quite surprised with the overall forward feedback functionality, and this thing looks quite nice, and also overall performance is quite fun when playing some project cars. Thank you all for watching. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions, and it would be great to see you in the next video.